Number 1 says, which equation is a result of adding these two equations together? So if we just put a line under here and we add these, so we're going to add the like terms. So negative 2x plus 3x is 1x. 4y plus negative 10y. So 4 plus negative 10 is negative 6y. And then 17 plus negative 3 is 14. So we'll just look for that solution, and we see that here at C. Number 2, which equation is a result of subtracting the second equation? So here you have to be careful that you actually subtract. So when we do 4x minus negative 5x. So 4x minus a negative is really plus. So 4x minus negative 5x is 9x. And then negative 6y minus 2y. So negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8. And then 13 minus 5 is 8. So then we get 9x minus 8y equals 8, and we see that in choice D. Number 3, solve the system of equations without graphing it. So when we look here, you can see that we've got two terms that are the same and two terms that are opposite of each other. So you can decide here if you would like to add these two equations or if you'd like to subtract them. I find that people make less errors when they add. So I like to add. So 5 plus 5 is 10x. 2y plus negative 2y is 0. And then 29 plus 41 is 70. So now we've eliminated the y variable and we find out that 10x is equal to 70. So then we can just divide by 10 and we get that x equals 7. Now you can pick either of these two equations to plug the 7 into. So I'm just going to plug it into the top equation. So we're going to get 5 times x plus 2y equals 29. And we know now that x is 7. So then 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2y equals 29. So the 29 and the 35 are like terms, but they're on different sides. So I'm going to subtract 35. So that 35 minus 35 is 0. Then we get 2y equals negative 6. Divide by 2. And we get y equals negative 3. So then our solution here, our ordered pairs, would be that x is 7 and y is negative 3. Number 4, here's a system of linear equations. Would you rather use subtraction or addition to solve this? So now in this last one, we had the same terms here, so we could have subtracted, and we had opposite terms here, so we could add. That's not the case here. Here, we only have opposite terms. So here we only have opposite terms, so we need to add the system to it in order to solve it. So if we add, we end up eliminating the x's. So I would say addition, because 6x plus negative 6x equals 0. So we will only have the y variable left. Number 5, Kieran sells full boxes and half boxes of fruit to raise money for a band trip. He earns $5 for a full box and $2 for a half box of fruit that he sells, and he earns a total of $100 towards the cost of his trip. So this equation describes that relationship. solve for f. So we just want to take this equation and we want to get f by itself. So we'll leave the f here. So we'll subtract 2h from both sides since 2h minus 2h is 0. So we're left with 5f on the left. And then we have 100 minus 2h on the right. And then we just need to divide by 5. So then f equals, and you can leave it like this, 100 minus 2h all divided by 5. That's fine. Or you can divide it. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. And then you would just leave the negative 2 over 5 as a fraction with the h. So either of those options is fine. Number 6, match each equation with its corresponding equation solved for a. So now we need to solve all of these for a. And so you maybe want to look for some that feel like they'd be quick, because then you isolate out some of the answers and you simplify your choices. So like part B, we just need to divide by 5. So A is just going to be 2B divided by 5. So that's pretty quick. And we see that in number 1. So part B goes with number 1. So now we're done with this. C is pretty easy. We're just going to subtract 5 from both sides. So A is going to be 2B minus 5. So we can look for 2B minus 5. And we see that here in number 4. So C is going to be number 4. Part A is pretty easy too. You just subtract 2B. So then you get A equals 5 minus 2B. And we see that down here in number 5. So part A is number 5. So then we're down to part D and part E. And so if either of these feels more complicated to you, like if you don't love the parentheses here, you could just solve E, and then your leftover one would be D if you wanted to. And I'll show you how to work with this too. But so we're solving for A. So we're going to want to subtract 2B from both sides here. So we'll get 5A equals negative 2B. Then we'll divide by 5. So we just get A equals negative 2B over 5. And we see that here in number 2. So then that means number 3 has to be D. So let me just show you also some things you can do for this. So when we have 5 times a whole quantity, right, you can just divide by 5 right away. So when you divide by 5 here, this will just cancel to 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then 1 times anything doesn't change it. So then we just get A plus 2B. And 0 divided by 5 is 0. Then you'll just subtract 2B from both sides. And that's where you can get that there. You can also, if you don't realize that that's a thing, you could distribute the 5. So you could distribute the 5 into both these terms, in which case you get 5A plus 10B equals 0. So then you would subtract 10B from both sides. And then you could divide by 5, and that's going to come up with that negative 2 also. So just a couple of strategies there. Number 7, the volume of a cylinder is represented by this formula. Find each missing height and show your reasoning. So in this one, we see the bottom one just gives us V and R, which means that we're solving for H. And these are the cases where I think it's really helpful to solve for H right away, because you're doing multiple cases of solving for it. So I'm just going to take and actually solve for this bottom one first. So I'm going to take the volume formula here, and I'm going to solve for H. So it's pi times the radius squared times the height. So if we want to solve for the height, all this stuff is being multiplied. So I'm just going to take and divide by it. So I'm going to multiply by pi and r squared to both sides. So then I get the volume divided by pi and r squared equals pi over pi is 1, r squared over r squared is 1, so equals h. So the volume, or the height, is always equal to the volume divided by both pi and the radius squared. So when we're doing this, okay, so this 96 pi here is our volume, so we're going to take that. And we're going to divide by pi. And actually, why don't I write this as a fraction? That's probably easier to look at. So we're going to get 96 pi, and we're going to divide by pi, and we're going to divide by the radius squared. Okay, and 4 squared is 16. So pi divided by pi is 1. So then we're just going to do 96 divided by 16, which is 6. So then for this next one, we have 31.25 pi is the volume. So we're going to divide by pi, and we're going to divide by the radius squared. So 2.5 squared is 6.25. So we're going to divide by 6.25. So pi divided by pi is 1. 31.25 divided by 6.25 is 5. So then we end up with 5 here when we do that division. Number 8, match each equation with the slope and the y-intercept of its graph. So again, with ones like this, I like to look for easier ones so that I can minimize my choices. So I like to look over here, and if I'm looking for slope and y-intercept, I know if I see any in this slope-intercept form, okay, like this, solved for y, or they could have the y-intercept first and the slope second. So I just like to look for any of those. Well, number 2 is solved for y. So I can already see that the y-intercept is 5 and the slope is -6. So when I look here, a y-intercept of 5, slope of -6, I know that that goes with number 2. This next one is also solved for y. So I see the slope of 5 over 6 and the y-intercept of 1. So I'll look here, I see 2 1s, but only one of them has a positive 5/6 slope. So I know that D goes with number 3. So then you can narrow down some of your choices. Then all the rest of them are in standard form. So remember, when we're in standard form, the y-intercept is kind of easy. We just plug in 0 for x. So if I plug in 0 for x in this top equation, I get -6y equals 30. Divide by -6, and I get -5 for my y-intercept. And let me write out my work for you. So if I divide by -6, I get y equals -5. So look here for a slope of a y-intercept of -5. There's only one of them. So then this has to be number 1. So my slope must have been 5/6 in that one without fully solving it. So number 4, same idea. If I plug in 0 for x, I get -6y equals 6. Divide by -6, and you get y equals -1 for that y-intercept. Well, only one of these has a y-intercept of -1, so this one has to be number 4. Number 5, okay, plug in 0 for x, so we get 6y equals 6. Divide by 6, so you get y equals 1. Well, there were 2 that had y-intercepts of 1, but we already used 1 up, so we know it has to be this one. And then number 6, plug 0 in for x, and you get y equals 12. So then that goes with A. And so in this case, that process of elimination, we never actually really needed to find the slope in any of the ones in standard form. If you would have needed to, you could have solved for y to find it, but in this case, we didn't need to. Number 9, solve each system of equations. So this one has 2x solved for, and that's nice because we see 2x right here. So we can just plug in the top equation 2x plus 3y equals 4, and we know that 2x is equal to 7y plus 24. So you can just plug that in, and then you can just combine your like terms. So 7y plus 3y is 10y. And then we have that 24 equals 4. So we'll subtract 24 from both sides. And we get 10y equals negative 20. Divide by 10. And we get y equals negative 2. Then we need to plug it in to figure out x. So I'm just going to plug it into this bottom equation here. So we'll do 2x is equal to 7y plus 24. And we know that y is equal to negative 2. So we'll be able to plug that in here. So then we get 2x equals negative 14 plus 24. So 2x is equal to, and negative 14 plus 24 is 10. And then we'll divide by 2, and we get x equals 5. So our solution for this first one is that x equals 5 and y equals negative 2. Then for part B, same idea here. We see that we have 3y solved for here, and we also see a 3y in this top equation. So we'll be able to substitute it in. So we'll say 5x plus 3y equals 23. And we know that 3y is equal to 15x minus 21. So we'll substitute that in. And then we can solve. So 5x plus 15x is 20x minus 21 equals 23. So then we'll add 21 to both sides to get those like terms together. And we get 20x is equal to 44. So then we'll divide by 20 to both sides. And we end up with x equals 2.2. And then we'll, so I can put that into the solution. Then we'll go ahead and plug that in to get y. So we get 3, and you can plug this into either equation. I'm just going to do it in the bottom one. So we get 3y equals 15 times x minus 21. And we know that our x is 2.2. So then we have 3y equals 15 times 2.2, which is 33, minus 21. So we get 3y is equal to 12, and then divide by 3, and we get y equals 4. So then our solution to this one is 2.24. Number 10, Elena and Kieran are playing a board game. After one round, Elena says, "You earned so many more points than I did. If you earned 5 more points, your score would be twice mine." Kieran says, "Oh, I don't think I did that much better. I only scored 9 points higher than you." Write a system of equations to represent this. So we've got 2 different things that they said. So let's take a look at the way that Elena said it. So Elena said that if you scored 5 more points, okay, so she's saying if Kieran's score plus 5 more points. So if Kieran had scored 5 more, then his total would equal 2 times hers. Then Kieran said that he only scored 9 points higher than she did. So he's saying my score equals your score plus 9. So these are two equations that represent that solution or that system. Obviously, K is for Kieran's points. And then E is for Elena's points. So if both students were correct in what they said, how many points did they score? So that just means solve this system. So we already have K solved for. So I'm just going to take this and substitute it in for K here. So instead of K, we'll have E plus 9. And then that plus 5 equals 2E. So then we can combine like terms over here. So we have E plus 14 equals 2E. Subtract E from both sides. And we'll get 14. And 2E minus 1E is just 1E. So that means that Elena's points were 14. So then we'll plug that in to this bottom equation. So Kieran's equals Elena's, which is 14 plus 9. So Kieran's equals 23. And so Elena scored 14 points and Kieran scored 23. And then you could plug it in and check. So if we take Kieran's score plus 5, so Kieran's score is 23, plus 5 is 28. Is that double Elena's? And that's true. And is Kieran's 9 points higher than Elena's? Well, 14 plus 9 is 23, so that's true.